Some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. Some are so bizarre they bend the very fabric of reality. Strange lights in the sky, people vanishing without a trace, objects moving as if guided by unseen hands. History is packed with events that defy logic, science, and sometimes even sanity. From time travelers caught on camera to places where compasses go haywire, these eerie occurrences make even skeptics pause. Are they glitches in the Matrix? Or is there a rational explanation waiting just beyond our understanding? Buckle up, because we're diving into 15 of the most unsettling, mind-bending events that will leave you questioning what's real and what's not. Number 15. The Green Children of Woolpit. In the 12th century, villagers in Woolpit, England, found two children wandering near a pit trap. Their skin had a greenish tint, their clothes were strange, and they spoke a language no one recognized. The children refused all food except raw beans. The boy grew sick and died, but the girl eventually adapted, learned English, and told a bizarre story. She and her brother came from an underground land called St. Martin's, where everything was dimly lit. Historians think they were Flemish orphans suffering from malnutrition, but that doesn't explain their odd language or why they believed they came from beneath the earth. Others speculate they were time travelers or interdimensional beings. Some even suggest they lived in a hidden underground civilization that was somehow cut off from the surface world. The girl eventually integrated into society, but the mystery remains. Where did they really come from? And why did they think they were from an entirely different world? Number 14. The ghost ship Mary Celeste. When the Mary Celeste was discovered adrift in the Atlantic in 1872, everything about it seemed normal, except that its entire crew had vanished. The ship was undamaged, stocked with food and water, and its cargo was untouched. Even the crew's belongings were still there, but not a single soul was on board. Theories exploded. Pirates, mutiny, sea monsters, a sudden rogue wave sweeping them overboard. Some believe the captain, fearing a gas explosion from the cargo of industrial alcohol, ordered everyone into lifeboats, but they never made it back. Another theory suggests paranormal forces, as if the sea itself claimed them. Despite decades of speculation, no trace of the crew was ever found. The ship itself was in perfect condition, sailing calmly without its people as if abandoned mid-sentence. It remains one of the greatest maritime mysteries of all time, leaving behind nothing but an eerie silence in the middle of the ocean. Number 13. The Man from Taured. In 1954, a man arrived at Tokyo's Haneda Airport with a passport from a country that didn't exist, Taured. He looked completely normal, spoke multiple languages, and confidently pointed to Taured on a map, right where Andorra should be. But he was adamant. Taured had existed for centuries. Authorities detained him overnight in a hotel while they investigated. By morning, he was gone. The room was locked from the inside, and every trace of his identity, including his passport, ID, and travel documents, had disappeared. Some claim he was a time traveler who accidentally crossed into our reality. Others suggest a government cover-up, an elaborate hoax, or proof of alternate dimensions. But the fact remains, a man with a completely authentic yet non-existent passport vanished into thin air. If this was just a prank, why has no one ever come forward to claim responsibility? The Man from Taured remains one of the strangest airport mysteries in history. Number 12. The Dyatlov Pass Incident. In 1959, 9 experienced hikers set off into the Russian wilderness. None returned. Their tent was later found slashed open from the inside, their bodies scattered in the snow, some nearly naked, as if they had fled in terror. Several had massive internal injuries, crushed ribs, and even a missing tongue. Yet, there were no external wounds. Authorities ruled it an unknown compelling force. But theories quickly spread. Some blamed Soviet military experiments, a secret avalanche, or infrasound-induced panic. Others believed a Yeti attack or something supernatural. In 2019, researchers suggested a rare type of delayed avalanche that may have caused the panic, but that doesn't explain the radiation found on some bodies or why experienced hikers fled their tents without shoes. Something terrifying happened that night, something that remains unsolved over 60 years later. Even today, the Dyatlov Pass incident is one of the most chilling outdoor mysteries in history. Number 11. The hum that no one can explain. For decades, millions of people worldwide have reported hearing a low-frequency hum, a deep droning vibration that never stops. It's been heard in the US, UK, Canada, and even remote areas far from industrial noise. Some describe it as a distant engine idling or a pulsing sensation in their skull. The hum isn't just annoying, it's disturbing. Many sufferers report headaches, insomnia, nausea, and even suicidal thoughts. Scientists have tried to blame electromagnetic interference, seismic activity, or distant industrial sounds. But the problem? Recording devices can't always detect it. Some theories suggest the Earth itself is producing the noise, while others believe it's a secret military project. Others claim it's a signal from something beyond human understanding. No one knows where it comes from, why only some people can hear it, or why it's getting louder in certain parts of the world. The hum remains a mystery that refuses to be silenced. Number 10. The disappearance of the Sodder children. On Christmas Eve 1945, a fire destroyed the Sodder family home in West Virginia. Parents George and Jenny escaped with 4 of their 9 children. But the other 5? Gone. No remains were ever found, even though fire experts later confirmed the blaze wasn't hot enough to completely incinerate bones. Stranger still, a woman reported seeing the children being driven away before the fire. Years later, a mysterious photo arrived in the mail, showing a man resembling one of the missing Sodder boys, now grown up. The Sodders believed their children had been kidnapped and the fire set as a cover-up. Some suspect it was a mafia abduction or even a government conspiracy. They spent their lives searching for answers, but no official investigation was reopened. To this day, the Sodder children's fate is unknown. Did they die in the fire? Or did someone take them and erase them from history? Well, it's still a mystery. Number 9. The vanishing village of Angikuni. In 1930, a fur trapper named Joe LaBelle arrived at an Inuit village in Canada, only to find it completely abandoned. Homes were left untouched, fires still burning, food still cooking, but every person was gone. Even more disturbing, the sled dogs were found frozen to death, still tied to their posts. The villagers' graves had been dug up from the inside. No footprints led away from the settlement, no signs of struggle, and no explanation. Authorities dismissed the case as a hoax, but local Inuit tribes swear the story is true. Some believe a mysterious Arctic epidemic wiped them out overnight. Others whisper of the Wendigo, an ancient legend of a supernatural force that devours entire communities. Whatever the truth, the Angikuni disappearance remains one of the most chilling mass vanishings in history. With no remains, no evidence, and no answers, the village's fate is still one of Canada's greatest unsolved mysteries. Number 8. The mysterious SOS message from a sunken ship. In 1948, multiple ships in the Strait of Malacca received a chilling SOS message from the SS Orang Medan, a Dutch cargo vessel. The distress call was simple, but terrifying. All officers dead, including the captain, lying in chart room and bridge, possibly whole crew dead. After a brief silence, another chilling message followed. I die. Rescue crews rushed to the location and found the ship intact, but eerily lifeless. The entire crew was dead, their bodies frozen in terror, eyes wide open, mouths agape, but with no signs of wounds or struggle. Even more bizarre? The ship suddenly exploded before it could be towed, sinking to the ocean floor. Theories range from toxic gas leaks to paranormal forces. Some believe the crew was exposed to an untraceable chemical weapon, while others insist it was something not of this world. With the ship gone and no survivors, the truth remains buried beneath the sea. A light now, let's move to Number 7. The moving coffins of Barbados. In the early 1800s, the Chase Vault in Barbados became home to one of the strangest supernatural mysteries in history. Every time the tomb was opened for a new burial, the heavy lead coffins inside had mysteriously moved. Some were overturned, some stacked in odd positions, yet the vault itself was completely sealed. Fearing grave robbers, authorities inspected the tomb carefully. The floor was made of solid stone, showing no signs of disturbance. There were no flood marks, no footprints, and no damage to the vault door. Each time the coffins were reset, the phenomenon would happen again. Eventually, the coffins were removed entirely, and the vault was permanently abandoned. Some believe earthquakes or underground water shifts could have moved the heavy caskets, but that doesn't explain why it only happened in this one vault. Locals still whisper that the Chase family was cursed, and their spirits refused to stay buried. Number 6. The time-traveling hipster. In 1941, during the reopening of a Canadian bridge, a photo was taken that would later spark one of the greatest internet debates of all time. The image showed a crowd dressed in formal 1940s attire, except for one man. He stood out, wearing modern sunglasses, a printed t-shirt, and what looked like a compact camera, decades before they existed. Everything about him screamed out of place. Skeptics argue that his clothing could have existed in that era, just not commonly worn. However, historians point out that his sunglasses and casual attire were completely out of sync with the fashion norms of the time. Some claim he's proof of time travel, caught on camera by accident. Others think the photo is an optical illusion or an example of selective perception. But if that's the case, why does he look so bizarrely modern compared to everyone else? The mystery remains unsolved, and the time-traveling hipster continues to fuel speculation. Number 5. The Joplin spook light. For over a century, a floating, glowing orb of light has appeared on an empty road near Joplin, Missouri. It moves erratically, hovering, darting, and sometimes splitting into multiple lights before disappearing. Locals call it the spook light, and it has been seen by thousands of people, including soldiers, scientists, and skeptics. Some say it follows cars, while others report it appearing in the same spot for years. It has been photographed and even filmed, but no one has been able to explain it. Scientists suggest swamp gas, atmospheric reflections, or car headlights. But here's the problem. People reported the spook light decades before automobiles even existed. Native American legends claim it's the spirit of a lost warrior searching for his way home. Despite numerous investigations, the spook light remains unexplained, a glowing anomaly that refuses to disappear, challenging everything we think we know about light and energy. Number 4. The Gadianton Canyon Time Warp. In 1972, 4 Utah women took a shortcut through Gadianton Canyon and found themselves in a place that shouldn't exist. They described the road suddenly turning smooth and featureless, with no signs, no markings, nothing familiar. Then, bizarre glowing buildings appeared in the distance, unlike anything they'd ever seen. Suddenly, 4 strange men appeared, waving at them. But their cars weren't normal. They were egg-shaped, without windows. Panicked, the women sped away, only to feel a sudden shift, as if the car was floating. Moments later, they were back on a normal road. They tried to retrace their route, but the road they took was gone. No records of it ever existed. Some say they accidentally drove into a parallel dimension. Others believe they saw a glimpse of the future. Whatever happened, the 4 women never changed their story. Number 3. The mystery of the Somerton man. In 1948, a well-dressed man was found dead on Somerton Beach in Australia. He had no ID, no belongings, and no visible cause of death. In his pocket, a tiny scrap of paper reading Tamam Shud, Persian for "it is finished." Investigators discovered a hidden book of cryptic symbols linked to the case, but none of the codes have ever been fully deciphered. His suitcase, found later, contained strange, untraceable items with no labels. Some believe he was a Cold War spy assassinated under mysterious circumstances. Others suggest he was living under a false identity, caught up in a deadly secret. Despite modern forensic advancements, his DNA has never been matched to anyone. To this day, no one knows who the Somerton man was, why he carried a hidden message, or how he died. The case has baffled authorities for over 70 years, making it one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. Number 2. The case of the Déjà Vu Hotel. In 2001, a man checking into a Paris hotel suddenly recognized everything. Not just the layout, but details he couldn't possibly know. He predicted the placement of furniture, the paintings, even the hotel manager's name, before seeing it. The problem? He had never been there before. He had no memory of ever staying in Paris. Scientists call it déjà vécu, a rare and extreme form of déjà vu where someone has detailed recollections of events that never happened. But some believe it's proof of past lives or parallel realities colliding. Others suggest time loops, where people unknowingly experience events before they happen. If time isn't linear, are we experiencing things before they occur? Whatever the explanation, cases of déjà vu on this level remain unexplained. Did this man live a past life in that hotel? Did his consciousness momentarily slip into a reality where he had? Well, only God and this man know. Number 1. The Hexham Heads. In 1971, 2 young boys in Hexham, England, discovered 2 small stone heads buried in their backyard. Excited, they took them home, and that's when things got weird. That night, their mother claimed to have seen a hulking, half-man, half-wolf creature standing in her house before it vanished into the night. Other family members heard growls and felt an unseen force in the home. When experts examined the heads, one researcher took them home, only for the werewolf to appear at her house too. Eventually, the heads were handed over to a museum, but they have since disappeared from records, adding to the mystery. Were the Hexham heads cursed relics, tied to an ancient ritual, or just rocks with a terrifying coincidence? No one knows, but their legend still haunts the town of Hexham today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon in the next one.